Well, I just think it's important for people to follow their dreams in the sense that, if you have a dream to be a singer, find your outlet. If you
Mhm.
have a dream to be a photographer, do that.
Mhm.
Take classes. If you want to be a writer, write.
Mhm.
Learn
Mhm.
how to write. Sit down and write. Find your voice. Finding your voice is very important. Um, I didn't find mine until I was 50.
Welcome to Story Power, a bi-monthly podcast where my guests and I chat about stories and creativity in all different styles and formats. My name is Lucinda Sage-Midgorden, and my goal is to promote what Dale Carnegie stated in his famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Let's try to figure out why they do what they do. That's a lot more profitable and intriguing than criticism, and it breeds sympathy, tolerance, and kindness. To know all is to forgive all. It's my firm belief that the goal of most creative people is to try to understand themselves and others. That's what makes artwork of all kinds so compelling. But more than that, the personal stories of my guests promote understanding as well. Roger C. Schenck, a cognitive scientist, said, human beings are not ideally set up to understand logic. They are ideally set up to understand stories. It's my hope that Story Power will help us understand each other better by sharing the stories of my guests. Today I'm talking to Diane Merrill Wiggington. This is episode 89, and Diane and I talked for my Patreon community. Diane, you are so welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
And I love that you write romance novels of a different kind. And that's kind of what we talked about on Patreon. So do you want to talk about that? Because I read something someplace that romance novels are the most favorite genre to read. Is that true?
That's what I've heard, that it's very, very popular. I, I like a little more than just the immediate romance. Sometimes
Mhm.
I like to give them the enemies to lovers. You start out
Mhm.
awkwardly and then they kind of fall in love. That's
Mhm.
what compromising position is about. It's different. And then I threw in a little suspense to
Oh,
make it
cool.
more interesting.
Yeah.
And then, you have to have your conflict where he has to go. Um, so Jake is from Australia and she is from Florida.
Oh.
And they meet when he's taking a break from his life
Uh-huh.
and he's trying to find himself. He's trying to discover um, joy in his life again. And that's when he runs into um, Catherine, who is a campaign manager, who is very career driven, um, doesn't have any family, um, and they're kind of opposites because he has this big boisterous family and they're fun, and she just has her group of friends who are she considers her family, and her job. And so he kind of teaches her that there's another way to live
Mhm.
besides just throwing yourself into work. And when he has to go back home to take care of a family emergency, you know, she kind of discovers that maybe he's right. Maybe there is another way. Maybe she wants more than just a career.
And
So,
her friends. Yeah.
yes, and her
Oh,
friends.
that's cool. And now, what's the name of that novel again?
That's A Compromising Position, and it's won 8 awards so far, and it just won a silver from um, the Global Book Award,
Oh,
and I'm
cool.
pretty excited about that. That it's a huge award. Um, Book Fest, Fire, Bird Books, and it's just picking up one award after another. I'm pretty excited about that.
That is. Now, is that your first novel?
No, that is actually my fifth novel.
Right. Okay, good. And so I wanted to know because I was talking to somebody else this week and she has won several awards too. How do you get awards for your book?
Well, being an independent author, you have to sign your book up for these awards,
Mm-hmm.
and go through the process. They get scrutinized, they get read by judges, and sometimes you come away with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't win anything. But I've been pretty fortunate with my writing. My first series won 2 awards, and my fourth book won 2 awards, and this one has won 8 awards. So I'm pretty thrilled about that.
Yes. Now, when you sign your book up for to be considered for an award, I have noticed that you have to pay a fee. Is that true? Do you have to pay a fee for every single one or?
Yes, there's usually a fee, and then if you enter in more than one category, the fee goes up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of whether you're independent author or you're published, through some big publishing house, they still have to pay the fees.
Right. Yeah.
There's always fees because they charge fees for reading your work and critiquing it.
Right. And then is there like a cash award or something too on top of that?
Some awards have cash awards. Some awards have what they call, they will blast the information out on their
Mm-hmm.
network.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes it's not monetary, but it's getting your book out there, the information about your book,
Mm-hmm.
information about the award. Sometimes that's the
Mm-hmm.
the the prize.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't. The most I've ever won was, I won this for one of my, which was pretty fun. I mean, I was pretty excited about winning that because I never had one. I never had
Yeah.
a tablet.
Yeah. So was that what kind of tablet is it?
It's a
Oh,
fire.
oh yeah. An
So I
Amazon.
won that for book
Uh-huh.
number 4, which was Laura's story. It's a
Oh yeah.
historical fiction. It's a young
Uh-huh.
adult historical fiction,
Uh-huh.
and I was really proud of that because it was filled with a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And when you have to write emotional pieces, you really have to dig deep into your knowledge and past experiences. And sometimes, you kind of dig things up that are, I mean, there was one point I wrote 5 pages and I was exhausted from just the emotional turmoil that I had to put into
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
those pages. And I was like, okay, I'm exhausted. So I would go, I would take a break and I would go work out, or you know, I'd be I'd be done for the day, and it would be like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And
Right. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. So, how did you get into writing? Tell that story.
well, I've always been one of those people who were dreamers.
Uh-huh.
And as a kid, I would make up stories all the time. I'd be out on my grandparents' farm and I'd be up in the haystacks and I'd be looking for the kittens that were just born, just
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
so I could go get a kitten and tame it for the summer. And I would make up these stories, or I'd go for a ride
Uh-huh.
in the country by myself and just come up with these crazy little scenarios for myself. And so I just always had this great imagination. And then kind of life got in the way. You go to school and you graduate from college and
Mhm.
you start a career and then you start a family. And I always wanted to write children's books or I never thought that I had the gumption to write an entire novel. And so I've taken courses on children's books, things like that. And one day I just said to myself, I wonder what it would take for me to write an entire novel.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working 11 hours a day, and taking care of my family and,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
grocery shopping, making dinner, the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I sat down one day at the dining room table. This is right about the time I turned 50.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, it's never going to be the perfect time. I'm never going to get younger. And I sat down and wrote Angelina's Secret in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
I know, doing all that, it was insane. I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'd go out to the dining room table and I'd start typing, and then I'd try to be quiet because I'd leave all the lights off. And my husband would come out and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm writing. Go back to bed. I have a great idea. You don't bother me. Just go back to bed. I'm fine." And so, that's how I wrote that first novel. I just
Uh-huh.
sat down at the table, or in between breaks, or
Uh-huh.
just I would write because these ideas would come to my head. Anytime I got stuck, I would take a bath. I would take a hot bath and just lay there with candles burning in the bathroom and a face cloth over my face and thinking
Uh-huh.
and relaxing, and it would come to me, and I would, have my next paragraph or my next, chapter. And so I just did that little by little, and I don't know. I just love that first story because it's just so filled with so much of my personality and who I am, that
Mm-hmm.
strength,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and who I want to be. Just really a strong woman that goes for her dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my world of reality, going for your dreams or fulfilling your dreams is never a bad thing, because a life lived without regret is important to me.
Yes, really. I'm so glad that you decided just to jump in because some people stop themselves. They don't I don't I don't know what it is about us human beings, but we we doubt ourselves. We doubt our talents.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I had doubts, and then I sent it to my best girlfriend, who is Gigi. I've known her since, let's see,
mhm.
we started out in third grade.
Oh, wow.
So I've known her since third grade. And I always bounce things off of her
Uh-huh.
because she's a huge reader and she'll give me her honest opinion. She won't pull punches. She's
Mhm,
one of those
mhm.
people that just says what she thinks and how she feels. And I love that, because if it's not good or it needs something more, she'll
Right.
tell me.
Yeah. Mhm, mhm.
And so that kind of feedback is so hugely important. In fact, when she read Angelina's Secret the first time, she read it in like 3 days. And she wrote back to me, she said, "So where's the sequel? Where's book two?" And I says, "What do you mean, where's book two? This is I just poured my life into this and my whole heart, and you're wanting book two already? Can I just enjoy the fact that I wrote a book?" And she says, "Yeah, it's great, but I want more." And I said, "Oh, okay. I'll think of something more." And then I thought, well, what would happen if Angelina's daughter that she would just,
Mm,
had,
mhm.
what if her daughter came along and we told her daughter's story?
Ah, yeah.
And so the second book, Isabella's Heart, is about Angelina's daughter
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
and her brother, her twin brother. So then I thought, well, you can't stop at book two. You have to have at least three for a trilogy.
Right.
So I thought, well, what happens if we just go to Isabella's daughter? Why not? You know, just keep it going in the family. And then I stopped there, and Gigi says, like, "What's wrong with you?" She says, "You can't stop there. You," and I says, "Well, I kind of feel the story's done." And she goes, "No, no, the story's not done." But and then I moved on to Laura's story, and I
Uh-huh.
thought, well, I just need to take a break from this trilogy. So my first series only has 3 books. I mean, I'm sure I could go farther, and I could expound upon their lives and go
Uh-huh.
farther, but
Uh-huh.
I've moved on. I kind of
Yeah.
moved on to Laura's story and compromising position. And then, and then I had another idea, and that one's at the editors right now.
Oh,
So
good. I
I'm
was going
working
to
on
ask.
that, and it's a suspense thriller, but it's also a romance.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I've got to have romance in there. I love romance. Um, so that's, in the works, and I'm working on the cover right now. So, and then get this, I wrote a children's book,
Oh, cool. You
and
finally
I
did.
found a fabulous illustrator from Spain.
Oh, wow.
He's amazing. He does everything by hand.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't pull things off the internet and, paste it all together. He actually does his pictures by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it's been a long process, but the pictures are amazing. And I'm just so thrilled about that. So that's in the works, and hopefully that'll be done like this next month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we'll see. I'm not sure when I want to release that, but
What's the name of that one?
that one is called The Secret of One-Eyed Cogburn, the Dreaded Pirate Captain. Oh, yes, I know. It's a children's adventure, and there's 3 best friends, and they go on this adventure, and it's just fun. And the one-eyed Cogburn, instead of having a parrot, he has a pet ferret that sits on his shoulder.
Oh,
So, yeah,
oh,
I'm
how
pretty thrilled
fun.
about that one. That's
Oh,
exciting.
so then what are you going to do next after that?
Well, I'm well, if that's not enough, I am working on another novel, and it's called The Duke's Lady is a Spy.
Oh, I love that. Is it a period piece?
It's a period piece. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
The Duke's Lady is a spy. I love that.
yeah, I'm kind of all over the place.
You come up with great titles.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I work hard on those, because titles they've got to catch your eye,
I
and
know.
the cover has to catch your eye, or it's just
Mhm.
not, you're not going to even pick it up to see what's inside.
Right, exactly. So
So,
do you have a conventional publisher now, or are you still
no.
independent? Oh, that's right. You have your own publishing company.
Yes, I started
Well,
my own publishing.
yes, it's not real. I guess it is a company. Yeah. But you're
It
your
is.
only client.
I'm my only client. Yes, that's right.
Oh, that's great. I love it. So that's exciting. I think I asked you when we did the Patreon thing what you like to read, but I want to refresh my memory. Do you read mostly romance? Is that correct? But do you have any other genres that you like?
I like historical fiction. I'm reading The War Pianist right now.
Oh,
Isn't that a
oh,
beautiful cover?
that is.
Yeah, I like that cover. And it's really an interesting, I mean, I, I take a break from things, and I read different genres. I try to keep fresh about what I read.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just read a cute little thing. It was called Witch Napping in some place in England. Anyway, it was just a cute little thing about a witch, and she didn't know she was a witch until she turned 22 or something like that, and
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
her brother disappeared, her parents had disappeared, and so it was just kind of cute. And so I do read different genres. I don't just read romance, but I prefer romance. I like a little
Mm-hmm.
romance in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like the books that have really sad endings.
Right.
Those really kind of tweak me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just I like a happy ending. I like something nice. I don't like books with a lot of cussing. I mean, I understand sometimes they have a few words, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
like when it's every other line, there's a curse
Mm-hmm.
word in it. I just don't think that that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like, the erotica. I'm not into that. It doesn't do anything for me. Historical fiction, period piece fictions, romances, suspense. I like them all.
Suspense. Yeah, I was going to ask. Or mystery, because you do kind of a mashup of different genres. So that's why I was asking if you read other genres other than romance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But, when you're picking your categories, you kind of have to not go too far. You can't mix 4 or 5 different genres into
Mm-hmm.
one book. People kind
Mm-hmm.
of get confused or
Mm-hmm.
don't know where to place it or, what's going on. So I try to keep it down to a couple of different genres like suspense and romance. They go great together.
Mm-hmm. So, did you read a lot of romance when you were younger? What did you read when you were younger?
Oh, golly. My bookshelves are full. Let's see. Let me grab one.
Okay.
This one is well worn. You can tell.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But Catherine Woodwise
Uh-huh.
was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of really liked the romance. Um, have you ever read Dinah Gabaldon's
No, I don't
books?
I don't think so.
So Dinah Gabaldon's, um,
Oh yes, I have.
yeah, her her books are pretty amazing. I've read one of hers that I didn't really get very far in, but I like the Outlander series. I
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
like that because there was another one I picked up. I thought, oh, I really like her, so I'll pick this up. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get past the second chapter. I don't know why I didn't get it. It was a very, I don't know, a lot of English terms and a lot of things that,
Oh, uh-huh.
yeah, it was kind of not written for the general populace. It's more for English people, which I didn't understand some of the terms and I didn't understand some of what she was saying. So I
Mm-hmm.
just put it down. But I just things with
I think that's interesting because she lives in Arizona.
does she?
Uh-huh.
Well, isn't she English?
Uh-uh.
No. Okay, well, she likes the English.
Yeah, she does. She does.
Yes.
She does a lot of research about it. She lives in Scottsdale.
Well, that's surprising to me. I met her at a Highlands festival in San Diego. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually San Marcos,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I got my books, and I got them all signed, and
Oh,
she
nice.
signed my books, and
Uh-huh.
so I have a lot of her books that are
Yeah.
signed.
I might
So
have to try because I stopped reading the Outlander series. I don't know. They're so dense in terms of
yes,
all the things that happen to the characters. And but I might want to pick up because I like her writing. I might want to pick up
hmm
some of her other series. Yeah, she's really interesting.
yeah. Sometimes it gets very complicated.
That's true. Well, when especially when she's trying to follow the history, the Outlander series is, she's got a lot of history going on there too, not just romance.
Well, I love the fact that they turned it into a series,
Mhm.
and it
Mhm.
was like what 25 years later after she'd written it.
Mhm.
And I guess there's 8 books out. I think I stopped at book 4.
I
I think
did
I
too.
stopped at
Yeah.
book 4,
I
but
think
I think
she
there's
just
8
did
of them.
I think she just finished number 9.
Really
Yeah,
good for her because they are huge books.
they are. They are huge books. Yes.
And and even though I do read a lot on, on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
I have the Kindle app on my phone. I really like turning pages.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, but Kindle's very interesting in the fact that if I go to the doctor's office and I have to wait for 30,
Right.
40 minutes, I can pull out a book and I could get lost in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I have to wait in line someplace or, sitting at the DMV waiting for your turn,
Right.
you just pull it out. You don't have to carry a book around. You can just
Right.
pull up your phone. And I
Yeah.
always have it loaded with plenty of books. So,
Yes. Oh, I have lots and lots of books on mine too.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
like reading on my iPad now because I can pick it up if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm having a hard time going back to sleep. I can read and I don't have to turn on the light and bother
yes,
Barry and
right, right.
yeah. So that's one of the reasons I like reading on my phone or on my iPad because I don't have to turn on a light to read. When I'm
True.
reading a physical book, I have to turn on the light.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least at night you do. So, yeah. So,
I find that I need a light even in the daytime sometimes if it's dark in the house.
that's,
I'm like flipping on lights because I don't know, I'm getting older and my eyes are
yeah.
getting worse.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. And it's getting that time of year. And especially if it's really cloudy outside, when we're having monsoon here, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember because I used to live in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon, and it was cloudy a lot. And
Right. Right.
you had to have all of the blinds or the curtains open, and it still sometimes wasn't enough light because it was
Yeah, I
dark.
find that in the winter here in Montana, I just because I have a wall of windows upstairs, I
Mm-hmm.
love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And but even then, sometimes, just lighting the fireplace adds that little extra warmth.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I love fall here. Fall is amazing. It's like 76 to 78 right now.
Uh-huh.
Sunny, blue skies. It's just perfect. It's the
Yes.
perfect time of year.
Yes. I like fall too, because when I used to teach, it was like, oh, a new beginning, a new
Right,
school year,
right.
new beginning. Now that I'm retired, I don't feel that way exactly, except that in Arizona, it's starting to cool off. And that's
Uh-huh.
always really nice. A
Yes,
little
yes.
cooler. So, yeah.
When it gets 90 to 100 here, everyone complains.
I
they
know.
they look forward to the summers, but it's just too hot to do stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so we
Mm-hmm.
like it in the 70s and the 80s
Mm-hmm.
because it's better to hike,
Mm-hmm.
especially if there's a nice breeze or
Right.
go up to if you go up to Glacier, it's a little cooler. Just really like the end of summer, beginning of fall.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
perfect.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have a question. How do you get your ideas for your books?
Oh my golly. They just pop into my head. I literally just will wake up from a dream and say, huh, that would be an interesting book.
And do you write all your ideas down someplace?
um, I have, I have this little box here
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and I've got all these little papers I've been writing stuff down on.
Uh-huh.
Um, Not necessarily ideas for books, but like my characters. Like I'll be watching a show and all of a sudden I'll come up with an idea of what my characters would be saying to each other in what situation, and I'll write something down and I'll
Mm-hmm.
throw it in the box. And
Right.
so when I'm writing, I'll go ruffling through there and going, oh yeah, I remember that idea. And then I'll expound upon that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. Yeah. So you're always on the lookout for,
Well, some people, will bring out their
yeah.
little binder and they'll write stuff in there. And I'm constantly just looking for a little piece of paper to write on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's my process. And I don't do an outline. I'm not an outliner. I don't outline.
I have talked to several authors who are not outliners. They just start writing and they might know kind of the beginning and the end of the book, but they don't know, what's going to happen and how they're going to get from point A to point Z, but they just
That's
start
called
writing.
by the seat of your pants
I
writing.
know. I'm that kind of writer too. Because I wake up in the morning sometimes with an idea in my head and I have to go write the scene, but I have no idea where it's going to go in the book yet.
Right.
I just write the scene and then I have no idea where it's going to go. Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm probably not very good. I'm glad that I don't have a publisher nagging me for, your deadline is coming because I don't write it. I don't
No.
write that
Deadlines.
like
No,
that.
thank you.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't do deadlines.
Yes.
Too much pressure.
Right.
That would make it no fun. That would
Uh,
make it no fun to write, to want to get up and do something. Sometimes, I'll well, my husband likes to distract me because he's retired now.
mhm.
Um, he's like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I go, "Well, I've got to go down and write." He goes, "Well, okay, then I'm going to such and such, and I'm going to go do this."
Mhm. Mhm.
Really, without me? What?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then I get distracted, and then I'm gone, and then
Yeah.
So I'm glad I don't have deadlines because I just that would be too much pressure.
Right. Yeah, really. It would be.
But you've got you've got to do the promoting, and you've got to do um like I
Um,
usually write my own blurbs. Do
mhm.
you write your own blurbs?
Mhm.
Yeah, I tend to write my own blurbs. Some people, pay people to write their blurbs, and there have been times I've been stuck, like Laura's story. I had somebody write my blurb for that.
Mhm. Mhm.
It came out great. It was a great blurb, um, better than I could have done.
Mhm.
But you know, I will write a blurb and then I will rewrite the blurb and then I will send it
Mm.
off to a friend and they'll go, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's, it could use a little something more." And then I'll rewrite it again. And,
Mhm. Mhm.
so I tend to ask opinions
Yeah, for
because I'll say, "Well, is this something that would interest you? Would you pick up this book if you read this blurb? And would it interest you enough to want to read the book?"
right.
And
Yeah.
if they say, and I go, "Okay, well, I missed the mark." And
Yeah.
so I go back to the drawing board and I
Mm.
start over.
Mhm.
Um, uh, that's how I do mine. I don't
Yeah.
know how other people do theirs,
Yeah.
but I've seen some pretty crazy blurbs, and I think, no, they need to rewrite that. Or, you know, book covers. Book covers are a big pet peeve for me because
Mhm.
it's got to be right. It's got to
Mm.
be with the genre, or it's got to be
Mhm.
interesting. Some people will slap things together on a board and then they'll make that the cover, and I'm thinking, why not pay the $100 to have it done?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
way it should be done, or
Mhm. Yeah.
somebody might have a better idea.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I have an idea for the cover, and then somebody shows me a different way that the cover could be, and I'm like, "That's it. That's what I
Yes.
want.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Uh-huh.
perfect." I
Yeah.
would never do my own covers.
No,
I just
I'm lucky I have a graphic artist husband.
Oh, you are so lucky. That is awesome.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask about the marketing thing again.
Okay, so I do book sweeps, BookBub. I do Goodreads,
Mhm.
Book Funnel.
Mhm.
I've joined a bunch of groups on Facebook, promotion groups, book groups, things like that. That when I have something to promote, or I have a special on my books, or, even like Book Funnel, I give away my first book when you
Mhm.
sign up.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it helps in building your email list. It helps in building your book bub, because if you want to advertise on BookBub, you have to have 1,000 people on
Right.
your
Mm-hmm.
list. Now I have a little more than 1,000 people now, but it's taken me a couple years to build that.
Mm-hmm.
And Goodreads, you can do a promotion on your book, get people interested in your book. They sign up, um, put it on their shelves, and eventually they'll get to your book.
Right.
That's a good way. Just finding people to do reviews for you
Mm-hmm.
is really helpful, because reviews are hard to come by. People might buy your book, but they don't always review it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hard. Um, I have my books on online book club,
Mm-hmm.
and they have awards that they do each
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just think that the more you put yourself out there, um, the more you're going to be discovered. Somebody might pick up your book and then recommend it to, say, 10 friends. And
Mm-hmm.
those, out of those 10 friends, maybe 5 people will pick it up,
Mm-hmm.
and then they will spread the word. So a lot of word of mouth. I just think it's important to get your book out there, because there are thousands of books coming out every year of by independent writers, and they're not all great. Some of
Mm-hmm.
them, people just put them out there and they think, well, I'm just going to write this and I'm going to put it on Amazon, and of course, it's going to sell, but it doesn't, because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't advertise and you don't get the word of mouth out there, it's hard. And Amazon even has um, some free advertising, but they tend to want you to be exclusive,
Right. Yeah. Right. Which
which,
I'm with you. I don't want to be exclusive with them. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, it's
Because
harder
that's
to, well,
it's
it's
hard.
harder to spread the word if
Yes.
you're exclusive to Amazon. And,
Yes.
if you want to go into a bookstore and you want to do book signings, which I'm telling you is really fun. It's not always successful, but it's quite fun
Mm-hmm.
to,
Mm-hmm.
talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be on Ingram or, one of those other print on demand
Mm-hmm.
places that
Mm-hmm.
actually distributes to Barnes and Noble or,
Mm-hmm.
other stores like that, bookstores.
Yeah. Right. Wow. That's a lot of work for one person, though, isn't it?
It's huge. It gets so overwhelming some days, and you run out of time to actually write. And so I personally write all my own books. I don't go through AI. I don't go through
Mm-hmm.
ghostwriters. I write.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes a lot of time to, I mean, sometimes it can take all day to write 5 pages,
Mm-hmm.
depending on, you know, what you're writing. And then other days, you write a good 10 pages and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But the thing is, you have to have time to write. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, promoting and going through your emails and keeping up with other authors, that
Mm-hmm.
you make connections with,
Mm-hmm.
alignable, Facebook, uh, Twitter, um, and
LinkedIn.
just other places like that,
Mm-hmm.
is it can get complicated. And then
Yes.
you have people asking you for your opinion or your reviews or, you know, giving of your time. And as an independent author, when you were given help from other people, you want to give back. And that's what I
Right.
do, because I've asked people's opinion
Mm-hmm.
um, for one thing or another. And I just feel that it's important to give back and help the next generation coming up.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that does take a lot of time to read the
It
books
really
and
does.
yeah.
And being retired and wanting to, have a life too, that
Right.
that's important to take time out, because, I try to work out every day
Mm-hmm.
and be healthy, because when you get to a certain age, it's
Mm-hmm.
you just need to keep it up. You need to,
Mm-hmm.
keep all that going in one direction, and that's in a healthy way, and not
Right.
not let that all go by the
Mm,
wayside because you're, sitting at a computer all day.
right. Exactly. Yeah. That is a problem for me too. Yeah. To get up and move around and yeah. Because a lot of the work that
Sometimes
I
when
do is on the computer.
Yeah, sometimes when I get stuck on something, I will just take a break from writing. And I
Mm-hmm.
have taken for a little while because, I've got two books in the making. And so the process of making those books, you've got to have, your designer, you have to have your
Mm-hmm.
illustrator, have your book cover person, you have to have,
Mm-hmm.
whatever else, and then you have to copyright it all so that it doesn't get
Right.
stolen from you.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's
Exactly.
a problem. And so that can take time. And sometimes you just have to stand up, walk away, and work out, or clear your mind with another book, or,
Mm-hmm.
a good show, or whatever. You just
Mm-hmm.
have to balance everything.
Right. Yes. Yes. Now, do you have anything else that you want to say before we go?
Well, I just think it's important for people to follow their dreams in the sense that, if you have a dream to be a singer, find your outlet. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a dream to be a photographer, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Take classes. If you want to be a writer, write.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Learn how to write. Sit down and write. Find your voice. Finding your voice is very important. Um, I didn't find mine until I was 50.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's never too late to follow those dreams. And I think it's important that we remember that we have resources, and that you carry your resource around in your phone, and you can look things up, and you can discover how to do things.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I discovered how to become my own publisher. I got a publishing label, my own publishing label, the Jewel Dagger Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
I got my logo,
Mm-hmm.
and I just, you know, everything that entails had to be researched. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's important that we don't forget to be who we are, and
Yeah,
not let
that's right.
people talk you out of doing it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I love what uh, her name just went out of my head. Everything is figure outable. Uh, what is her?
Yes, you can figure it out. Anything you can figure out that you want to do, it's all right there. I research children book um, awards the other day, and
Yeah.
so that's I've
Uh-huh.
sent myself a bunch of files that I can go through, and so when my book is ready, I can submit them for those awards,
Right.
and
Yes.
some of them are more prestigious than others. And it's important to know, what you're signing up for and where your money's going,
Mm-hmm.
because I have limited resources,
Right.
but you know, when you place them in the proper place, you can go far.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's Marie Forleo that says that. Marie Forleo. Everything is figure outable. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
exactly. If you don't
so
step up to the plate, you can't swing to hit the ball.
that's right. Yes, exactly. So don't be afraid because you can figure it out as you go.
That's right. That's what
That's
I've
right.
done.
Yes, right. Me too. Me too. I started podcasting. I didn't really know anything about podcasting when I decided to try it. So it's
That's
been a fun
wonderful.
it's been a fun journey. Yeah, really. Oh, I'm so happy to talk to you again. Thank you, Diane, so
You
much.
too. You too, Lucinda.
I hope you enjoyed the show. If you like what you heard, please share it with a friend and give us a rating and or review on your favorite podcast app. It will help people find us. I invite you to join my Patreon community at patreon.com/storypower, all one word. Or if you like, you can subscribe to Story Power on Apple Podcasts. It's my aim to build a community where we discuss the stories we love and talk about what we learned from them. I offer extra audio content and story suggestions to my patrons on both platforms. Remember, as Philip Pullman said, after nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world. Let's spread the story love. Until next time, this is Lucinda Sage-Midgorden. Thanks for listening.